Well, it's an absolute pleasure. As I said already, guys, I'm going to be talking about global expansion, the do's, the don'ts, what to do, what to focus on, what not to do, and what to avoid. I don't know, if we're going to cover the whole 15 minutes. Certainly, James, feel free to chime in if you have questions, and I'll try to do my best to keep an eye on the chat panel as you guys write in and share some questions that you might have. I've only got one slide to show. I don't want to kill you guys with a PowerPoint. I want to talk about really just 4 different criteria here to break down international expansion. And I've kind of broken it down into a little category here that I'll share with you guys in a second. But again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Just throw it in the chat, raise your hand. And James, don't be shy about hopping in and chiming in if I'm missing it, as I'll just try to be sharing here. So guys, again, we're talking about international expansion. We're talking about some do's and some don'ts. I've got what I broke it down into 3 L's. I like the alliteration and everything, makes it easier to remember. A little background about myself first. Vice President of Global Sales over at Cognism. As much as I would have liked to think in the summary there, James, that I grew Zoom Info 400%. I grew a portion of Zoom Information 400%. One of the solutions, the enrichment solution, but it's definitely a part of a very fast growing organization there, and went through some great times with Zoom Info. Now over at Cognism, leader really in Europe for sales intelligence space. So I think it's very fitting that that Cognism has been involved with everyone here for a long time, and I can't be more thankful for the opportunity to chat with everyone and to try to present. What are we talking about? So expanding internationally, this is it. This is all I really want to cover with everyone, given we only have 15 minutes. I've already spent a few of them with pleasantries here. We've got 4 different breakdowns that I want everyone to be thinking about when you're thinking about expanding internationally. So obviously, you could write a thesis on expanding internationally or global expansion. We're not looking to cover that. Really, just a couple reminders that I want everyone to think about. Obviously, we've got a lot of sales folks on the call, but this is also for anyone in go-to-market, so marketers as well. And I've broken it down really into localization, legality, longevity, and leader and leadership. And I'll talk to you a little bit about each of them, but I want to start with an example. And the example, when we dive into localization here, is around Chevy Nova. And all the marketers in the audience right now are rolling their eyes because this is old hat for them. But this is definitely a good example of what not to do with respect to the localization topic in general. So I'll give you an example. So Chevy Nova, when Chevy had released the Chevy Nova, it was a good success in the States, and then they decided to release it to LATAM. And upon releasing it to LATAM, it was a big flop, a big blunder over there, because when you look at Nova, if you separate the words, no space va, it means it doesn't go, essentially. So we're selling a car that doesn't go to a market. And this has been in a lot of textbooks and so on. This example is used very widely on what to avoid with marketing blunders and things of that nature. I don't think it's really based in too much fact, to be perfectly honest, but it highlights the points really nicely, that a little research can go a long way. And ensuring that you really, truly, deeply understand your market is really what's going to dictate success of that market in general, and that product to that market. So obviously, this is an overarching example here where we're talking about, the car that doesn't go. I don't think it was that big of a flop. I think it actually performed pretty well. But it's very important to spend the time researching and understanding exactly how your go-to-market, the go-to-market that you've defined historically, wherever you are, whether that be in Europe expanding internationally to the States, or whether you're in the States expanding to Europe, LATAM, APAC, whatever it happens to be, or maybe you're within the UK and you're expanding to France. All of these are international expansions. It's very important to know the differences that you're going to be facing and what you're going to be getting involved into. Hiring is incredibly important when you deal with localization. You're never going to know, as well as a local, what's going on in that territory and in that culture. So I can't place enough emphasis on hiring really reliable, good talent and trusting those folks to be able to execute your go-to-market within that area and tell you where your go-to-market's going to succeed as well as not succeed. I'll give you an example. LinkedIn actually did a really nice recent study, and what they found was, obviously in sales, we're looking to establish trust with our buyers as a foundational layer to our sales relationships. When establishing trust, in the UK in particular, UK folks, and you guys would know this way better than me, but coming from the States, this is quite interesting. UK folks really respond well to ROI studies and understanding what kind of return is actually going to be coming from the solution that they're going to be investing in. So when we have our UK sellers, and certainly Cognism does this very well, the conversation is heavily around ROI and what our customers will be expecting when come signing on to the solution. In the States, it's not quite the same. A little bit of a different culture, a little bit less focus on ROI, a little bit less focus on trust, actually, more on the solution, more on the product. I think Germany is a really nice example that was highlighted in the study as well. Germans, unlike the UK folks who are really focused on the ROI, Germans are really looking for a strategic consultant to guide them through the sales process, inform them on what they should be thinking about, what they're missing out on, and things of that nature. So it's really, really important to understand not just the basics, if you will, of the car doesn't go or it does go, things around that perspective, things that are almost common sense. But to dive really deep into it and to understand, which facets of our sales process and our go-to-market process, our marketing messages are going to be really well received, and which ones might need some alteration or some editing. Again, your leaders in that space are going to be able to tell you that, and help you think about some of the things, obviously, that are a little more in depth to be able to think about. Legality. We'll dive real quick into this. I'm flashing up a lot of fines there, and that's GDPR fines to date, right? So over $330 million of total fines. A lot of large organizations out there, but I think what I would really strongly advise everyone, if you're expanding internationally, know the legality, the regulations of conducting sales and marketing in that region. Ensure that your org is really compliant for that expansion, and that's a cross-functional effort. That's not just a sales effort. That's everywhere. Really ensure that everyone's buttoned up on that, and ensure that you're abiding by best practices to help with that. Longevity. Longevity is an incredibly important topic to cover. I'm skimming them, guys, but longevity is a really important topic to cover here, because this is not a rotisserie oven. And what I mean by that is this is not a set it and forget it kind of scenario. When you're looking to expand internationally, having a solid foundation for what those expectations are from your team is really, really critical. They need to be obtainable. They need to provide a solid, aligned foundation that your go-to-market team can execute upon. And you need to invest in this expansion effort. This can't be, hey, I hired someone to go run X, Y, and Z region, right? I hired an Australian and he's just going to go run Australia. And hey, if it does, 6 months down the road, it's not working out, something's wrong. I guess we can't expand into that. That's the wrong methodology. That's the wrong mentality toward this. This is an investment. This needs to be really, really well thought out. I think, Marcus had mentioned on the previous event there, he's looking for aspirational customers. I think that's awesome, right? Very aware of where the trend is. with respect to the market and how advanced certain folks are toward their solutions. So they're really looking to highlight those aspirational customers. That's a long play, right? That's a very well thought out go to market toward expanding internationally. I think that's really, really sharp. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about leader and leadership. There's a lot of do's and don'ts here, but don't miss out on the opportunity, right? There's a massive opportunity to expand internationally. It doesn't matter where you are, capitalize on that, really, right? Be a part of that. Take a chance, put the investment in, put your best foot forward on it, ensure that you have the allocated resources that you need to be able to execute upon your go-to-market. But don't miss out, right? Don't let competitors hop in there and steal up market share. Take the leap of faith and get out there and do it. It requires strong leader, a market leader from that perspective, but also I can't harp on it enough, guys. Strong leadership too. International sales organization is not going to be as tied in as your national sales organization. Doesn't matter where you are. They're going to operate a little bit on their own, and it's really, really, really critical to ensure that you're making sure that those individuals are really well supported and certainly a part of the team. It's massively important.